Hello and welcome back to Echo. Um, I don't know how many years it's been since I was doing the original recordings. Actually, no, it was like two or like a year and a half, maybe, because I think I started recording in 2019. Not, oh God, it's 2022. No, that means I started recording in 2020. I don't know, but yeah. So it's been a while. I did re-record Carl's route because that was one of the first routes that I did where the sound wasn't that good. It was very low. And yeah, I'm thinking of redoing Leo's route too because the sound was kind of low for that one too. But we'll have to see what happens. So right now, what I'm actually going to focus on is a little something that they added. Oh, hmm. Oh yeah, I think I just focused on Jenna's thing when I did it on this computer. I don't think I did it on... Yeah, I just focused on Carl because there was all his CGs. So yeah, what I'm going to focus on this time around is not on the story itself, but the extra stories that I mentioned while I recorded Echo. Also, look, Chase has a new sprite. He doesn't look as... I'm sorry to say this, but he doesn't look as fugly as he did in the past. He actually looks a little cuter. I still prefer Sydney, but you know, he's dead. Anyways, yeah. So these stories were Patreon only, like a long time ago. And a funny little story is that last year, I asked one of the developers, well, I asked McSkinny if I could record the Patreon only stories because it had already been a while since the game had finished. And I was like, well, maybe, you know, they'll allow me to do that. And he's like, oh, no, not yet, because we're actually going to add them to the main game. And lo and behold, here they are. So, yay, I can record them now. And yeah, these stories, you don't necessarily need to know them, but they do add like a teeny bit of context and information to the overall story. For example, Runaway is a story about Jenna when she, you know, runs away from her family and from the abusive family that she has. And it also... Well, I don't want to spoil anything until I read these. So each little story has little tidbits here and there that add to the main story. And they give you a little bit of a better insight into the main characters too. Like here's Phone, which is the infamous, I guess, turning point in Chase and Leo's relationship. And yeah, like Phone and Runaway are two of the ones that I really want to read. But yeah. So without further ado, let's begin, and I might, depending on how long the recording comes out, I might separate it into 2 episodes, so I don't know. So anyways, let's begin with Date, which is a story of TJ in his date with Heather. If you recall, Heather is the girl who in Jenna's route is she's worse for wear mentally. But yeah, and right here they're in high school age still. So all throughout until Phone, I think they're high school age, and then Party, Metaphor, and Trip. This is when Chase is already at Pueblo University. So yeah. Also, if you haven't seen my videos of Echo or read the story itself, this will not necessarily be spoilers. This is actually more like stuff that goes before the main story, but you know, I might end up spoiling a little bit of Echo. So if you want, go watch my Echo videos, and I promise it's worth it. And hopefully by the time you see this, I will have already redone the Leo route videos. So yeah. Anywho, well, let's begin with Date. January 2010. What makes a good date? Chase told me dinner and a movie. Personally, I felt like having the dinner half of the date at my house would have been really nice. I mean, it's cleaner than any restaurant you might find in Peyton, and my mom's a great cook. Still, I can tell by the way Heather has her head down that she's really unhappy. I feel a sort of sinking feeling in my chest. It's sort of set the mood for the night so far. Mom drives us to the movie theater and I start to get restless, noticing how late we are. The movie is supposed to be really good, and it takes place in space, which is my favorite. Mom tells me not to worry though, since previews usually fill the first 15 minutes. Finally, we park and I hop out and hold the door open for Heather. I notice that she's taking her time getting out, so I wait for her as Mom goes in to get the tickets. "Why is your mom coming?" Her voice is a whisper. I reach out to shut the door, but she does it herself, a little harder than she needs to. I stand there for a second, not sure what to say. Well, it's really hot out. Staying in the car would be too. Never mind. Heather stalks ahead of me, and I feel that sinking feeling again. It's only now hitting me that bringing Mom was a bad idea. Not that I told her to come. Mom sort of just invited herself. Chase gave me a bunch of tips on how to make the date go well, but he never said anything about parents. Maybe it was so obvious that he didn't think that he had to tell me. That thought just makes me shrink into myself even more. I can feel my face get hot. I push my paws into my pockets and follow after her, trying to keep my ears upright. Mom's really nice and sits about 5 rows behind us, but Heather still seems pretty angry about it. She keeps moving her sitting position, folding her arms and making pouting faces. Each time she sighs, I feel myself cringe just a little more inside, and now I can't even focus on the movie. After about 30 minutes, she adjusts her sitting position again and knocks some popcorn into my lap. I lean over to her, whispering, "What's wrong?" She shrugs, keeping her eyes on the movie. I lean back in my seat, again trying to keep my ears up, especially with Mom behind us. The drive back home is pretty awkward. Mom goes on and on about the movie and what she thought about it, which is fine because I can tell Heather isn't in the mood to talk, and I have no idea what to say. As we drive back into Echo, Mom looks back at us. "Alright, Heather, would you like me to drop you off at your house?" "Actually, me and TJ wanted to talk about a few things. Would it be alright if I stayed over for a little while longer?" "Sure thing." I look over at Heather, but she doesn't look back at me. I have no idea what she's talking about, and I think I'd rather not find out. There's nothing I can do though, so when we pull over in the driveway, I quietly get out and follow Heather into the house. "How was the movie?" He says it without looking up from the TV. "Oh, it was great, Mr. Hess. Really cool." She's using that weird, sweet voice she puts on for my parents. Yeah, a lot of fun." I follow after her. Good, good." He doesn't even try to sound interested, as he keeps watching the hockey game. Heather's already sitting on my bed when I walk through the doorway. She's got her legs crossed, paws resting back behind her on the bed. I stand there awkwardly, trying to figure out what to do as she just sits there and doesn't say anything. Do you want to listen to some music?" I turn to my dresser, grabbing my small stack of CDs and shuffling through them. I skip over the Christian rock albums, feeling my ears burn a little at the thought of her singing those. I end up picking out a Cherry Bloom album my dad gave me a few years ago when he was trying to get me into classic rock. Heather still hasn't said anything, and I feel myself sweating a bit as I put the CD in and turn it down low. Finally, I turn around and see that Heather hasn't moved from her spot on the bed. She's just been watching me the whole time. I twitch an ear and scratch behind my head, laughing to cover my nervousness. What's up?" She gestures with her hand towards the doorway. "Shut the door." Okay." I know my mom would probably get mad, but I do it anyways, trying to close it as softly as possible so my parents don't hear it. That's when I hear the bed squeak behind me. I turn around and Heather is right in front of me. Oh! I jump back and bump against the door. Heather giggles and moves closer. I can feel her breath on my face. She reaches out and rests her paws on my waist, and then slides them up, pushing up my shirt, her paws on my bare fur now. Oh, wow. Okay, I have no idea what to say or what to do. Heather just giggles at me again, pressing her fingers through the fur to my skin, and I can feel her paw pads against me. I look down and see that she has my shirt pushed up above my belly button, and she's starting to rub at the white fur that's been exposed. No one's ever touched me like this before, and I know I'm supposed to like it. But I don't. It's almost like I've jumped into ice-cold water, and now I can't breathe. I open my mouth, and I think I'm about to ask her to hold on, but that's when she kisses me. It's awkward, and her bottom lip presses up against my teeth while she pushes me back, banging my head against the door. I can taste the butter from the popcorn still on her lips. She huffs into my mouth excitedly as she pulls me away from the door, then pushes me down on the bed. Wait, Heather! My voice is quiet as she pushes me all the way down, so I'm flat against the bed, my legs dangling off the side. She's really excited, and it kinda scares me, her wide eyes and her breathing coming in loud huffs. I grab at her wrists as she pushes my shirt up again, but this time, she does it all the way to my neck. She leans down and I gasp as she presses her cold nose against my stomach. She's so confident about what she's doing. Has she done this before? She nuzzles lower, then presses a paw against my crotch. I sit up fast and push her back. Heather, let's stop. I quickly push my shirt back down. Heather stares at me, then awkwardly stands back up, folding her arms. You weren't enjoying it? I keep pretending to adjust myself, having no clue about what I should say. No, it was okay, I'm just not ready is all. I know that sounds really cliché, but it's the truth. I finally lose the battle with my ears, and they lift off to the sides of my head as the cherry loom plays softly in the background. Alright, I should probably get going anyway. But she doesn't move. She stands there, like she's waiting for something. I'm still too stunned to really know what to say. Do you need a ride home? That's the best I can manage. She sighs again before turning to the door. No, it's alright. It's only a few minutes away. See you on Monday. Okay. I get up awkwardly to walk her to the door, but she's already gone. I sit there on the bed for a while, hearing the rumble of my dad's voice for a little bit before I hear the front door open and close. Then I hear some footsteps up the stairs, and my mom sticks her head around the door frame. Everything okay? Why aren't you walking her home? She told me she wanted to walk alone. I feel my ears droop lower. Oh, alright. Mom's about to leave, but then she pokes her head back around the door frame. Well, your father and I are watching TV. Why don't you come down and join us? That actually sounds nice, and my ears perk up a little. Sure, I'll be there in a minute. Okay. She smiles at me before pulling back from the door frame. I watch the doorway for another minute, then sigh and lay back again. I cover my face with both paws, rubbing my forehead. I'm so bad at this stuff. Why did I even try? That's when my phone buzzes and I take it out to see a text. How's the date? I stare at it for a second, then, on a whim, press the call button with my thumb. He picks up after the second ring. Hey biatch, your date over already? Hey Chase. What's up? I can hear him adjust the phone, and his voice drops the lisp. I hear Leo's voice in the background, muffled. That TJ? I start to massage the bridge of my nose, closing my eyes against the room's light. Yeah, the date's over. It was... okay, I guess? Are you asking me? How was it? I wait a while, listening to the white noise on the other end. I can hear some music in the background. I wonder if they're in Leo's car. Chase? How did you know you're gay? There's some silence on the other end before I hear a burst of laughter. I flatten my ears, feeling my face blush all over again. I don't say anything, though, and just wait for him to get it out of his system. What did he say? Leo sounds really close now, like his muzzle is right up against Chase's. I hear some more adjusting of the phone going on before Chase finally responds. Sorry, I just didn't expect that. Are you on your computer? Yeah. I get off my bed and walk over to my desk, waking my computer up. Okay, go to the website Thick Fur. I type into the URL and press enter. Immediately above Fox with no clothes pops up. He's got his paws on his privates, and he's sort of pushing them up. There are a bunch of other pictures too, but I don't have time to process them as I jump and close the browser. I dart my eyes behind me, half expecting to see my mom and dad staring around the corner, their eyes wide in horror. Chase! So, are you hard? What? No! Then you probably aren't gay, TJ. You like looking at boobs, don't you? I pause. Well... Wait a minute. Don't you? Well, not really, I guess. This isn't you being all Christian, right? No, I'm fine with this stuff. I just haven't really given it much thought, I guess. I guess you could be asexual. Leo, stop it! I can hear the phone getting bumped around again, and I think I know what's going on. What are you guys talking about? His voice is playfully accusatory, and I can hear some more shuffling with the phone as I assume Chase tries to move it away from the wolf. Alright, TJ. I'd better get going. I'll talk to you more about this on Monday, okay? Okay. Later, Tej. Leo's voice is muffled, like he has something in his muzzle. And listen, TJ. He sounds strained. Heather is, well, she's not that. It's just not a big deal, alright? Okay, I'm gonna go. Talk to you later. See ya. I hear Chase start to snap something at Leo before he hangs up. I drop my phone on the bed next to me and close my eyes, tempted to just fall asleep right then and there. I feel better though. Chase always had a way of making things seem alright. He offered doing a double date with us, but Heather didn't want to, so it didn't happen. It would have made things a whole lot better. I start to wonder what Chase and Leo might have been doing. He was probably nibbling Chase's ear. Leo does that a lot. In front of us too, sometimes. I actually think it's kind of cute. My paw drifts down to my crotch, and for the first time in the past few hours, I feel something hard. TJ? I jump as I hear my mom call from downstairs, jerking my paw back. Coming! I quickly sit up and slide off the bed, going downstairs to watch the rest of the game with my family. So that was TJ's, side story. He actually has two. Lights is actually TJ too. So in this one we can see that TJ might have had some, I don't want to say homosexual tendencies, but maybe he might have just been attracted to Chase. Might have been demi, like demi romantic, or demisexual. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? Did you ever think that TJ was gay? And did you ever think that he would be into Musky Chase? Or into anyone at all? Actually, there is a fan story that I actually like, which is from Sydney's perspective, like if he hadn't died, and that actually pairs him with TJ. And I know that's a big spoiler, sorry. But I was actually thinking of asking the author if I could read it for the channel too, because I really like the story, because it's about Sydney, and it's actually a really, really, really nice story. It doesn't have any of that echo horror in it, but it kind of hints to it being there. like it's gonna show up any moment. But I really like that it focused on Sydney. But anyways, back to TJ's little story. It's I believe in the main story they do mention that TJ did go on a date with Heather, and it didn't really end well. So obviously, as we can see, Heather wanted to get frisky with TJ, but either he clearly just wasn't into her, or he's not into women, or maybe he's asexual, or maybe I don't know. I think there is a term for it where you're not really into either sexual things with people, or you're not really into sexual things with people from either gender. But except, there might be some exceptions. But I don't really know the term. And like, if you know it, then write it down in the comments. So anyways, now let's begin with Jenna's little short story called Runaway. I say short story, but I think it's longer than date. So in this one, as I stated before, it's about the day, or actually the night, where Jenna decides to run away from her abusive family. And around this time, Chase and Leo are starting to have little cracks in their relationship. So, we'll touch on that in the story. So, okay then. So let's begin. May 2010. The sun has begun to set. If I want to avoid Dad and Jeremy, I have to leave soon. I take another look around my room, just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. With my bookshelf empty and all the clothes packed away, it feels a little bleak, gloomy. If not for the posters still hanging on the walls, you'd be forgiven for thinking no one had lived here at all. It reminds me of one of those TV shows where they explore abandoned, haunted buildings. And while this place isn't particularly haunted, at least as far as I know, plenty of terrifying things have happened here. Part of the reason I want nothing more than to leave it all behind me. I zip up the duffel bag, not particularly easy with my paws trembling so much, and I take my phone out of my purse, reading Chase's messages again. He says he'll be waiting at the diner. When I ask if Leo will be coming along, he replies with an emoticon shaking his head. Figures. I hoist the duffel bag over my shoulder and waddle towards the door, snagging my necklace, the one Jeremy gave me, off the nightstand along the way. I put my ears to the door and listen for any signs of my family before even thinking of opening it. Usually I can tell when they're home by the shouting and screaming of Dad and Jeremy's daily arguments, but I want to be sure. Once I'm sure the coast is clear, I open the door and start walking. First out of my stuffy room, then out of the hallway, then out of the house. I lock the door and put the key under the doormat, looking over my shoulder at the house where I spent the past 17 years of my life. It's just a house to me, not a home. Hell, school feels more like a home than this place does. I expected to feel regret setting in about now, but I can only grin like an idiot. Simply walking out the door feels like an achievement. I don't think I've ever felt this kind of rush before. I'm free. I'm not going to become another Janice working a mindless, soul-sucking job while sighing to everyone who will hear. Not listen, because people in Echo never listen. About what could and should have been. I'm going to college on the other side of the state, far away from this dusty, dried-up shithole. I'm aware of the consequences, of the potential problems that could await me, yet the pros far outweigh the cons. I run a finger over the gemstone in the necklace, and feel a pang of guilt in my stomach. Jeremy will have to deal with Mom and Dad all on his own now. And while he certainly hasn't made my life any easier, he doesn't deserve that. Nobody does. If it hadn't been for Clint, he might have turned out all right. But I've made up my mind. And so I head towards the diner, struggling to keep myself upright, duffel bag in one paw, my purse in the other. And while people walking around with shifty-looking bags at night isn't an uncommon sight in Echo, I stick to the shadows regardless. I try to resist the urge to look over my shoulder every 3 steps. Jeremy could be hiding in every shadow, or so my mind tells me. I feel like a child again. I really shouldn't have packed this much. These bags are way too heavy. After nearly tripping over several rocks, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief when the familiar lights of the diner come into view. On the other side of the road stands the motel, a lone car parked in its parking lot. Even as a dot in the distance, I recognize it instantly. It's Chase's parents' car. I walk over as fast as I can on these heels. Chase is leaning against his car, his face illuminated by the light of his phone. Once he notices me walking towards him, he slides it into his pocket, with his paws still in his pockets. He walks to the edge of the parking lot. The motel's parking lot is quiet and dark, but not unpleasant. It's cooled down considerably, not quite to the point where I'd be worried about catching a cold, but cool enough to not get heat stroke after taking 10 steps. Let me handle this. He hunches over with a grunt as he lifts my duffel bag from my paws. Shit, Jazz, did you fill this thing with bricks? I giggle at the sight of him, folding my arms. Just the necessities, really. Clothes, a toothbrush, something to read. He grins. All your manga, too? Most of it, just the issues I haven't gotten around to reading yet. Maybe I should have filled it with bricks. It would have made for a nice prank. Once we get seated, my duffel bag in the trunk, and my purse between my legs on the floor, I look out the window to the road I took to get here. I catch Chase's eyes. Ready to go? He puts a paw on my shoulder. It's warm, and his paw pads are a little damp with sweat, but it's the most comforting thing that I felt all day. I melt into his touch, just a little. I nod. As ready as I'll ever be. I lean forward to turn on the radio. One of Chase and Leo's songs, or as Flynn likes to call them, emo garbage with shitty lyrics, starts playing. Probably explains why the car reeks of Leo's cologne. While I don't particularly like the music, it's still miles better than the country music that usually plagues the local radio stations, so I leave it on. Chase wraps his fingers on the steering wheel, in time with the beat. When he notices I'm looking, he quickly averts his gaze, messing with the rearview mirror instead. I chuckle. He's cute. A different brand of cute than TJ, but cute. Where's Wolf Boy anyway? Out with the pack? His parents needed him at the shop. He said it was urgent. I thought his parents' place closed at 6. He shrugs. They call him at the weirdest times. I've gotten used to it. Still, he glances at his anchor bracelet, eventually straightening it out so that the tiny anchor rests on the top of his wrist. It's a habit of his I've noticed ever since they went out to buy those things. You guys okay? He sighs. We've been better. I feel like we've got different ideas about our future, where we're going to take this thing we have once we're done with school. I had a hunch. Well, less of a hunch and more noticing that they weren't eating each other's faces last time I saw them. Do you want to talk about it? It's no big deal. We'll work it out eventually. It sure sounds like a big deal to me. Have you mentioned it to him? He tilts his head back. It's not just something you can bring up out of the blue, Jazz. If it's bothering you, you should do something about it. It'll just get worse if you don't. I'll ask him about him when I see him. He says it with a tone of finality. The anchor drops from the top of his wrist again. We're on the road now, moving further and further away from the diner and the motel until they're just blots in the distance. If there's one good thing about Echo, I suppose it's the spectacular sunsets. It reminds me of all the evenings I spent at TJ's house, sitting in the backyard with his family, just to watch the sun slowly sink. Sometimes his mother would pull out a photo album and tell me about where they come from, what nature there was like. Chase looks at me from the corner of his eye. We can stop if you like. If you want to say goodbye. I'm fine. My response is a little snappier than I would have liked. I make the effort to soften my voice. You can keep driving, Chase. All right, I'll have to stop for gas when we get to Peyton, though. I promised my mom I'd fill up the tank. I don't mind. I reach into my purse to grab my wallet, but he raises his paw. I'll pay. Don't worry about it. Are you sure? I mean, you're going all the way out there for me. He smiles. Seriously, don't sweat it. It's hard to do, given the gravity of the situation, but it's a smile I gladly return. Thanks, Chase. It's what friends are for, right? I take my phone out of my purse. Dad's calling. He probably got home and noticed I wasn't there. The fur on the back of my neck prickles as I look at the screen. I'm tempted to just pick up. The song playing on the radio has stopped registering. All I can hear is buzzing. Finally, I shake my head and hit the ignore call button, thrusting the phone back into my purse, taking out a manga instead. I'm not listening to anything he has to say anymore. What was that about? Dad called. You haven't even been gone that long. He stops wrapping his fingers on the steering wheel and eyes me nervously. It reminds me of TJ a little, the way his fur bristles whenever something catches the lynx off guard. You think he knows? I flip through my manga, taking out my bookmark. I don't know, and I don't really care. I start reading. In a town as dull as Echo, manga and anime have always filled the void pretty nicely. They've been an escape for me, a gateway to cultures and countries beyond this nothing town, places where I don't have to deal with my family. Strangely enough, I never got into Western comics much. Carl got me one of those collector's edition comics for my birthday once, but I sort of gave up on it when I hadn't finished it after a year. Mental note to get back to that one soon. The gas station between Echo and Peyton is a perfect representation of the miserable state Echo is in. It's old and decrepit, to say the least, and what little staff it has consists mostly of junkies saving up for their next fix. Usually, they get it from the dealers that show up at night around here. If the gas wasn't the cheapest around, I doubt I'd see any customers at all. Most people already try to avoid it whenever they can. This place gives me the creeps. Looks like it came straight out of a horror movie. It does. I smirk at him. Do you think there's any spiders around? He turns to me, an interesting mixture of fear and frustration etched on his face as his muzzle opens only to close again, like a fish trying to get some air. Don't even joke about that. There's probably some really big ones. I walk my fingers up his arm to the back of his neck, then pinch him. Boo. Jasmine! He swats my paw away with a yelp. Stop it! I laugh. I swear, TJ keeps it together better than you sometimes. He snorts. Only because you go easy on him. He's not wrong. The one time I played a Chase caliber prank on TJ, he spent hours crying in his room afterwards. It was the only time that I'd ever seen his mother legitimately angry, a stark contrast to her usual sunny disposition. Not much scares me, but that was a frightening experience. Hey, he's been through a lot already. I don't want to scar him for life. He raises a brow. But I'm fair game? Well, I get the best reactions out of you. He sighs. Foxes. I always feel a little guilty about playing into Chase's arachnophobia, or Chase's little spider problem, as his mother always calls it. But he's just so damn fun to tease. My greatest moment has to be when he emptied an entire bag of those tiny rubber snakes in his backpack while he was changing for gym class. I can still remember the look on his face when he opened it to get his lunch. Priceless. Aw, did I offend you, Chula? I gave him a playful pat on the back. He pulls back almost instantly, as if he's afraid I'll do something. Want me to call Leo so that he can kiss you all better? The exasperated look on his face is pure gold. If it wasn't so dark, I'd be filming right now. Don't, Jasmine. He starts fiddling with his bracelet again. I think there's only hillbilly serial killers around these parts anyway. Nothing to worry about. After getting another look from him, I lay off, completely satisfied. Chase gets out of the car to pump gas. I look out the window again to the convenience store. There are a few truckers there, but not much else. This place could use a clean. Shame that most likely won't ever happen, and probably hasn't since, the 50s? The most recent addition to the building is a poster for the Trinity Weasel movie starring Julia Blasco, which came out about 2 years ago. I think TJ was the only one who really liked that movie, come to think of it. My stomach rumbles when I notice the sandwiches set out on the counter. I eye the clock. It's about 8 and I haven't had dinner. While I could grab something at the diner, I didn't want to risk Janice seeing me and calling my parents. The sandwiches they sell at the gas station may not be as fresh or as tasty, but they'll have to do. I make a grab for my wallet again, catching my phone mid-buzz. Grumbling to myself, I take it out of my purse. 15 missed calls since the last one I saw. 14 from Dad, 1 from Jeremy. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, to be honest. I can only shake my head in disbelief. Not even half an hour into my little escape attempt, and they already are trying to drag me back to the madhouse. As long as they didn't follow me here, I have nothing to worry about. But I can't shake the thought, the possibility of them just showing up or calling the police. Or 1,000 other things that they'll never actually do. I don't feel like leaving the car anymore. I don't feel all that hungry anymore either. Something light will do. I tap the window to get Chase's attention, then rolled it down. Mind grabbing something from the store for me, Chase? Of course not. What do you need? I look up from my manga when he comes back, carrying a small plastic bag with the gas station's logo on it. One for you? He says it in a sing-song voice, dangling a strawberry-flavored popsicle in front of me, which I greedily snatch from his paw. And one for me. These popsicles come from Carl's mom's company. I've seen them and eaten them more times than I can count. Back when we were kids, Carl used to boast that we were paying for his pocket money whenever he caught us eating one. Considering Carl's mom would always give us entire bunches of them for free whenever we visited, though, we never had to buy all that many ourselves. You remembered I like strawberries? That's sweet of you, Chase. I take a whiff of that familiar, sugary, way too chemical scent. Well, it was the only flavor left in stock. I mean, yeah, I did. Better check the expiration date. It might be older than we are. The rest of this place certainly is. I take a little bite. I think it's safe. I'm not dead yet, at least. He laughs, unwrapping his own before producing 2 cans of soda from the plastic bag and handing one to me. That's a relief. Eating popsicles and drinking soda in the parking lot of a run-down gas station. It sounds rather silly in my mind, but this is really happening. I take another bite. So, have you figured out what you're going to do once you're done with high school? He fiddles with his bracelet again. I don't know. Leo's dad said that he might have a job for me, but I don't think I'd make a good mechanic. I've got 2 left paws. I think I'd just destroy any car that came into the shop. Why don't you apply for college? You mean the one in Pueblo? He gives me a quick sidelong glance. That's really far away, isn't it? I don't know, Jazz. I just can't leave Leo behind. You've got your phone. Long-distance relationships are a thing, you know. I crumble up the popsicle wrapper, putting it down into the ashtray. They're actually all the rage these days. I've got this friend who has a boyfriend who lives on the other side of the planet. I turn and look at him. You know, I think he'd be a good fit for college, actually. Smart, motivated. Really? I mean, I'm not all that good at anything, really. I don't know what I'd go for. Maybe journalism or something? I mean, you were in charge of the school paper last year. You like filming and taking pictures, right? And having a degree is always good. What are you going to major in? He finishes his popsicle, tossing the stick into the plastic bag. I'm going for psychology. Oh, like the inner workings of the mind and stuff? He pantomimes while talking, yelping when he hits his elbow on the steering wheel. I giggle. I suppose. minus the bruised elbow. I want to find out what makes people do the things the way they do. So, what made you do the thing you're doing right now? His expression takes a turn for the serious. Why'd you decide to run away? For a moment, I'm speechless, all the heat drawing from my body as we look right at each other. I thought he was okay with me leaving when I told him, but now, his tone is almost accusatory. It reminds me of Leo. I shudder remembering the stink eye he gave me when I told him I was leaving. A lot of things. I brush the fur out of my eyes. And I'm sorry, Chase, but most of them are none of your business. I'm the one driving you to your new place. I think I deserve to know what's going on. He frowns. What did they do to you? Did they hurt you or something? None of your business. I grit my teeth. Can we just keep driving, Chase? Please? Jasmine, please. I want to know. If you need someone to talk to, someone who can help, me, Leo, my parents, will do whatever it takes. You don't have to do this. You can keep leaving in. Is that what this was all about? I gesture to the soda cans, the empty popsicle wrappers, and the gas station. Are you just stalling so that you can convince me to stay? Jasmine. He puts a paw on my shoulder. I know how you feel, but running always isn't. You don't know how I feel. I smack his paw away. You don't know the slightest thing about my situation, Chase. You don't know what it's like to live in poverty, what it can do to people. And you don't know how it feels when no matter how hard you try to crawl out of that hole, your family will keep piling on even more dirt. I take a deep breath, realizing that I'm clenching my fists. I don't want to live for myself, Chase. I want to go to college. I want to have a future. I can't do that in Echo. It's not the place for me. It never was. It's not the place for any of us. He shrugs. But it's home. You know? It's home for you. It's hell for me. I put my seatbelt back on. Adam's dead. Jeremy's huffing whatever the fuck he can get his paws on. And my parents? I cut myself off. I feel nauseous just talking about them. My parents just keep blaming other people for their own ineptitude. Carl, his great-great-grand whatever, you, Leo, everyone's fair game. I'm sick of it. Chase gently puts his paw on mine. This time, I don't push him away. I feel drained, exhausted. I'd cry on his shoulder, but I don't even have the energy to do that. What did they say about Carl? I mean, Leo and I aren't exactly Echo's darlings, but he's harmless. Apparently his family's the reason we're so poor. Never mind the fact that my dad can't hold a job. Hell, he can't even hold anything save for a beer bottle. Shit. I didn't even know your family had a history together. We go way back. It's complicated. The story I'd always been told was that one of Carl's ancestors had his business partner, one of my ancestors, lynched for sodomy to cover up his own crimes. My parents always conveniently left out the part where they were gay lovers, of course, but a trip to the library cleared that one up for me. Not that they cared. My breath slows. I've stopped clenching my teeth. I'm not trembling anymore, at least, which makes drinking my soda a lot easier. Finally, Chase smiles at me. Sorry about all that. I wanted to look out for you, you know? Everyone's been really worried. I know. And I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have lashed out like that. Did you tell your parents that you're helping me? I told them that I'd be taking Carl and TJ out to see the new Lions Brigade. He puts the keys back in the ignition. My mom's been asking about you, though. That warms my heart a little. Chase's mother is one of the nicest people I know. What did she say? She wanted to know how you're doing, if you're eating okay, that kind of stuff. She wants you to come over for dinner sometime. He laughs. Maybe she's still hoping that I'll go straight someday, huh? He backs us out of the parking lot. When I look behind me, I see a group of employees crowding around a rather shady-looking wolf. I guess we're leaving just in time. Do your parents not like that you're with Leo? My dad adores him. I think my mom still wants grandkids eventually, but she's been pretty supportive. She just wanted me to be safe. I chuckle. Grandkids? I can't really picture you as a dad. Gee, thanks. He rolls his eyes dramatically. You're as sharp as a box cutter sometimes, you know that? I give his snoot a playful poke with my finger. Just saying what's on my mind, otter boy. Don't take it too personally. There's a moment of silence before he speaks again. Hey, not to change the subject, but won't your family be able to find you over there? They won't. I've thought of something. What is it? I'm going to get my name changed when I can, once I'm 18. It won't make it impossible to find me, but hopefully it'll keep them off my tail until I can move to Pueblo. As long as I can remember, even before I started thinking about running away, I've wanted to change my name. Jasmine's a name, yeah, but it's never felt like a name that was really my own. It's the one my parents picked for me. I've always felt like it was one of those names that you usually associate with trash living in a small rural village, a citizen of Echo. It's not a name you'd really expect or want to see on the front pages of a magazine or a research paper. Really? Huh. Yeah, I want something a little more... I bite my lip. A little more me, I guess. What kind of name are you thinking of? In the past, I've considered the names of actresses and singers, from CEOs to scientists. Now, though, I just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. How about Jenna? It seems like a good enough name. Jenna? He chuckles. Thought you'd go for something more ostentatious. Well, I don't want to draw too much attention to myself, and to be fair, anything's better than Jasmine. Definitely. It's just... well, it's gonna take some getting used to. He stares off into the distance, at the empty stretch of barren land next to the road. Jenna. Doesn't sound half bad, right? Hey, it's your name. What's that supposed to mean? Shoot me a message once you've unpacked, okay? Chase lifts the duffel bag out of the trunk with a little grunt. I wobble on my feet once I grab it, rescued by Chase giving me a hug. I struggle to reciprocate it until I drop the bags. It's a little uncomfortable with both of our shirts stuck to our fur, and it's still being warm out, but it's not unwelcome. I nod. Drive safe. Really? He chuckles, pulling back. Seriously, do you see a dent in this car? Sure, that's what you said about your bike too, right before you fell flat on your... That was 5 years ago. 5 years. We laugh together. It's gonna be different without you around. I'll still be around, you dip, just in a different town. I chuckle. Maybe we can go do something together sometime. We could go bowling. Sounds like fun. I'd like that, but only if you promise not to cheat again. Hey, I beat you fair and square last time. Of course you did, Jess. Jen. Fine. I fold my arms. I'll go easy on you. He steps back towards the car. After a short pause, he turns around to wave. I walk up to him once again. Wait! I take a Pueblo University brochure out of my purse. For you. He looks at it for a second, dumbfounded. Summoning some of my courage and a little stupidity, I lean in and give him a peck on the cheek for good measure. If Leo were here, he'd toss me through a wall. Thanks, Chase, for everything. You've been a big help. He just stands there, jaw agape, glancing down at the brochure before looking up at me again. I guess I'll see you around? Bye, otter boy. I grab the bags again, unable to keep myself from giggling softly as he stumbles to the car door, a confused look of bewilderment still etched on his face. He clutches the brochure tightly, and I catch a glimpse of him reading through it before he drives away. When he honks the horn, I do my best to wave, in spite of the bags, smiling to myself, all alone in Peyton in the middle of the night. Chase might be the only game Leo ever beat me at, but the odds can still change. With the bags in my paws, I waddle to the old, beat-up door and wait for the door to my future to open. And that was Runaway. To me, this kind of shows that Jenna obviously had a thing for Chase. And if you recall in Route 65, if you ever read it or if you saw my video of the story, which is like a side visual novel that accompanies Echo, it showed that Leo basically, like, as soon as he found out that Chase was gay, he was like, oh yes, I'm gonna, scoop him up, because Leo had a thing for Chase ever since they were little. Even though Leo was like 2, maybe 3 years older, he always liked Chase. And I think it was mostly because Chase and Jenna were like his first friends, and he globbed onto both of them, and he eventually learned a bit of English from them and stuff like that. And growing up like that, it's natural that you end up developing feelings for your friends. And if you're gay, then obviously you develop feelings for your male friends. And well, it was obviously Chase, and apparently Leo also has a thing for musky people. I guess because he's a wolf, he likes musk. I don't know. Anyways, anywho, but yeah, I also see it as Jenna sort of wanting to drive a wedge between Chase and Leo, and not sort of wanting, but it's sort of started here, because if you ever played Jenna's route, and this is spoilers, okay? So I'm telling you right now, spoilers. At the end of her route, if you don't go with Jenna as the partner, but you are doing her route, obviously, and you tell her that you're basically that you're gay, that Chase is not bi, she sort of, after playing like a sort of cruelish joke on Leo and Chase at the end, she ends up admitting that that the things that she does is because she's sort of jealous of all the people, and sort of jealous of Leo and Chase's relationship, and the fact that Leo just sort of scooped up Chase without, letting anyone else have a chance. And to me, that was confirmation that Jenna always had a thing against Leo, at least when it came up to Chase, if you recall in one of the routes, I think it was Leo's or Jenna's again, where they go to Peyton, and I hit the desk, and they're doing like that little race, and basically Jenna is showing up Leo, so Leo ends up falling, hitting his head, and also with the crane, when Jenna is gonna get like the little toy, and Leo gets like so upset that Jenna was able to get it and not Leo, and he basically breaks, I forgot what he breaks, and he ends up it ends up a whole mess. But it's kind of because Jenna keeps antagonizing him, but I think it's because she keeps subconsciously wanting to show up Leo to show Chase that you're like, hey, I'm the better choice, not this stinky psychotic wolf. And but yeah, so anyways, so what are your thoughts on Runaway, Jenna's little short story? Does it reveal more about Jenna to you that you didn't already know, or did you already know it, or something like that? By the way, I don't hate Jenna. I think that they're all awful people. Except for Carl and Flynn, but they're all awful. But it's not that they're awful in that they're terrible people, it's awful in that they're terrible friends to each other. And I don't think that they're doing it consciously. I think it's also part of the town's influence, because the town influences how you think and feel while you live there, and while and even after you leave the town. But yeah, so I think that Jenna's jealous feelings were influenced, or were not influenced, they were magnified by the town. So that caused her to behave the way she did, and that's why she was so easily able to be possessed by John Begay in Carl's route. It wasn't so much that Jenna made the conscious choice to allow John to possess her, it's more that the jealousy and the internal feelings that she never really admitted to herself caused John to be able to take up her body, and to try to seek revenge for what happened. But yeah, so I don't blame her, I blame the town. I don't blame any of them for their behavior. Well, I blame Leo for his behavior a little, but I don't really think that they're awful friends to each other because they just chose to be awful to each other. I think it's the town and its influence. So yeah, that's what I need to clarify, okay? So I don't hate Jenna, I don't hate any of them, but I do think that it was their own internal things that caused what happened to happen. But anyways, moving on, I think I'm gonna leave it like that for today. So it's Date and then Runaway. Actually, Date, Runaway, Lights, and Phone are the longest. Actually, Date, Runaway, Lights, and Phone, and Trip are the longest of the short stories. Party and Metaphor are short. So I'm probably gonna do Phone, Party, and Metaphor. No. Lights and Phone as the second episode, and then Party, Metaphor, and Trip as the last episode of the short stories. So yeah. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now. And then I'll do Lights and Phone for another video. Okay, so that'll be 3 videos. So Date, Runaway is the first one, Lights and Phone is the second one, and Party, Metaphor, and Trip is the last one. I know you want to watch all of them together, but don't worry. You'll see them, okay? Anyways, so thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play these stories yourself because you have no semblance of, waiting for me to do these, or patience is what I'm trying to say, you can find Echo, the anniversary update, over on Itch. And I will obviously post the link down for the Echo Project Twitter page and the Patreon page, which will have direct links to it. And obviously, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you will get early access to their other stories, such as The Smoke Room, Arches, which just updated, and me and Bear have already recorded the lines. But you have to wait until it goes public for me to post it. Also, because the Patreon update doesn't have something yet. It's actually missing something that I think will show up in the public build. That's why I can't post it too, because it's incomplete. And Glory Hounds when it pops up later this year, and Know Your Role when it pops up eventually. So yeah. Oh, and Ad Astra and Terria. So yeah. So there's plenty of stuff for you to subscribe to. But anyways, this update is free. It's part of the public build. So if you really, really, really want to play these stories yourself, you can find it over on Itch. But if you want to wait and just have me narrate them to you, then just wait. I'll probably do like a week of this. So this Date and Runaway is Monday, Lights and Phone is Wednesday, and Party, Metaphor, and Trip will be Friday. So just wait, please, just wait. I need that ad revenue. But anyways, so yeah, that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.